I made breakfast and was able to say, good morning, honey. Good morning, Malcolm Nance.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good God, what, I don't even know. I always talk about you as the patriot that you are. And Glenn Kirshner, who's coming up, the same, right? Just talking about how you've been warning about how democracy dies, how many books ago, right? Including the plot to hack democracy. It is, what are we watching last night where we have a whole party that is doing exactly what Putin wants, basically, right? No documents, no witnesses, it is the biggest cover-up in our history.
It is. And what you're looking at is the mafiatization of American democracy. And I wrote in my last book, The Plot to Betray America, which has an entire chapter about why the Republicans are doing this, why that they have become beholden to Donald Trump, because Trump has finally allowed them to take their hoods off.
Yeah.
They are allowed to be as openly loudmouth, racist, sexist, misogynist, anti-gay, and pro-bigotry as they want. And now what you're looking at is that it has completely infiltrated the party. The Senate is no different. My favorite example, Susan Collins. Susan Collins has always been playing this. He said, she said, I'm just a good old, Maine person, and I'm going to take a critical look at everything, then votes 100% in lockstep with Donald Trump. We are at the cusp of the edge of the end of American democracy. You are going to see a cover-up, and that's what Glenn is going to tell you, just straight up. The entire United States Senate has decided that this cover-up is legit, that a president of the United States or even a candidate can now legally go to other go to other countries and solicit their not just interference, an actual attack on the American electoral process, and that it's completely legit.
Yeah. I love you just said you were talking about the Trump's team and you said, oh my God, the Animal House defense. Yeah. Someone put, what's his name? Tim Matheson's character in Animal House. I mean, that really was what it was. Otter. Yes, it was right. The Otter defense. I mean, it just, go ahead.
It's exactly true. I mean, any minute now he's going to start complaining about the Germans bombing Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. Are you with me? Who's with me?
Germans?
Forget it. He's rolling.
Forget it. He's rolling. All I'm going to say here is that they have taken this. I mean, I've been listening, certainly this morning on MSNBC, to this sophisticated legal analysis that has come down to the Trump lawyers are just public embarrassments. But what we don't seem to understand, what we can't seem to internalize is they don't care what we think.
Right.
They don't care what we see. They don't care how we behave. This is for an audience of one. And if it pleases Donald Trump, it pleases his sycophantic base. And so you need to stop ignoring how wonderful.
I like you combine psychos and sycophants into sycophants.
Yes.
You like that?
I
do. But I'm just saying, you have to stop worrying about them. We have to now fight for the fight of the life of America. And I know everybody in the last few days have been getting wrapped up in all these ridiculous fights about, Bernie Sanders versus Elizabeth Warren, and the Biden team saying, did Bernie call him, this or that?
Right.
We are going to lose. I mean, it's just going to be that simple, because the division amongst Democrats are the exact fault lines the Russians attacked on.
Yeah.
And believe me, something amazing is going to come out. We're going to find out that Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, secondary, national surrogate from, Montana will have been unknowingly hacked, and some private comments about Bernie Sanders could come out and try to split the progressive wing from the progressive wing.
Yeah.
And that, of course, would lead to, them. They backed Sanders in the last election, who, as far as I'm concerned, as you know, I'll vote for a chicken sandwich if they win the Democratic Party nomination.
Yep.
But I also know that we are our worst enemies right now.
Yeah.
Bernie bros, I'm sorry. I've just had about my fill with them. I'm starting to think that they're actually Trump supporters who are here to create mayhem because the amount of infighting they cause on our side that makes it to the news media. Donald Trump is now at 16,000 documentable lies.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, did Joe Biden vote for the Iraq war 20 years ago? Geez Louise. I mean, they laugh at us because they know division is our weakness
Yeah.
and we work with them.
Um, Let me just say, because someone will just tune into this segment and
Yes.
call me once again a Bernie basher. I did also say, I wish Hillary hadn't said nobody likes Bernie. It's just mean. And it just stirred things up. And I said everybody has a right to speak, and I understand exactly how furious she must be, and I would be too. But I agree with you about just dividing us. Like we have got, because look at last night, Malcolm. If ever there was a sign, we have got to take back the Senate too. It doesn't matter if it's President Sanders or Warren or Biden. We have got to get the Senate back.
Right. So, me being a middle-aged African-American man, I'm going to quote Joe Biden. Okay?
Yeah.
This is a battle for the soul of America.
Yeah.
Not just parts of it. Every component of what America is now online. This is all hands. 2018 times 10. We have to do more than turn out what we did in 2018. We have to blow out the margins from what I suspect will be actual hacks, actual cheating, a massive last-minute voter suppression, and an insane, a literally insane base of Trump voters who will do whatever to win.
Yeah.
And, I think this is the single most important election since 1860. And that one, what preceded the Civil War. And the way that some people are talking, it's like they want chaos. They want mayhem. Russia is now eating our lunch all around the world. China is taking entire markets because they know Donald Trump is an absolute moron, and that by keeping the United States embroiled in this, to where there's not a person who loves the United States as a whole, that we're all splitting into these partisan divisions. This is decades of them studying us and figuring out our fault lines, and now using freedom of speech as the weapon system to destroy the American constitutional republic that we are.
Yep.
And I've got people up here right in my district in upstate New York who are, they're these, I'd rather go with Putin than go with a Democrat.
Aye.
And it's insane, but it will be the end of us.
And by the way, so here's Cipollone. Take a listen to this, Malcolm. Once again, as Fiona Hill, warned, they are running a Russian disinformation campaign by just this solid wall of lies like this.
In every other impeachment proceeding, the president has been given a minimal due process. Nothing here. Not even Mr. Schiff's Republican colleagues were allowed into the SCIF. Information was selectively leaked out.
Okay, flat out lie. Republicans were invited and were in the SCIF.
Exactly.
I mean, how do you, right? And then we have John Roberts cautioning people on both sides to decorum in the Senate chamber when Gerald Nadler calls them out for solid lying, right?
Listen, when I know Adam Schiff came back and politely hinted towards that he had to have been mistaken because the rules of the Senate are that you cannot go around shouting at each other and lying. And the Chief Justice brought that out a little later. But all of us can come out and call it a lie.
Right.
I mean, if you see, Cipollone lies, hashtag Cipollone lies, we have to consolidate our media strength. You need to get on Twitter or get on Facebook and start tweeting that stuff out too.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't have
listen,
a million Russian bots to do it for us.
Moscow Mitch has become Midnight Mitch, and and that is working, and it's trending. And he backed down in record time because of pressure about the rules, at least, right? I mean, at least the American people are going to hear this case, not just in the middle of the night.
Well, now we have the GOP fixes in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one. I mean, the fix is in. It was
Yep.
Mark Hamill who made a great tweet yesterday who said, why wouldn't I, just change over to Netflix rather than stay up through the middle of the night in this? Because it's clear the fix is in. This is a cover up
Yeah.
where the entire United States Senate, the entire Republican Party are covering up for crimes. And Joe Scarborough said it this morning. We're probably going to get the real story by November. And
Yeah.
we have to harness our anger. We have to harness
Yeah.
our outrage. I'm sorry, but it appears that since the Women's March, we have given up on street action. We have given up on protests. So you know what? You better move that into social media. You better move it into action of getting your friends mobilized. And you better decide, do you want next year, this time, will we be the United States we were for 244 years? Or will we transition to Trump's monarchy? And believe me, this guy probably wants the Republicans to change their name next year to the Trump Party.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You have to commit yourself now.
Yep.
And I'm not being, all shouty about this because I like shouting.
Yeah.
My job is to warn you.
Yeah. Shouty
I have
McShoutface
been
works for
warning
you,
for
America.
3 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We are in trouble. So get panicky, get worried. I don't care if Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders comes out after the nomination 25 points ahead of Trump on the national polls.
Yep.
50% of those people polled do not vote.
Yep.
This election was won by 24% of the American public coming out.
You're right. Let's not worry about this infighting in this faction or that. 100 million people didn't vote. Let's get all of those people.
Turn out your neighbors, anyone that you talk to. I talk to guys all the time at my barbershop, and they go, there's no difference between the parties.
Aye.
That is exactly what Trump wanted you to believe.
Yep.
My favorite one, what have you got to lose? Well, now we know. The entirety of the American way of life will go to a tribe in which white men will dominate your life. 75% of the American population will never more have a say in the way that they live.
Look at how many more people, right, the Democratic senators represent than the Republicans. I mean, there are so many things that we need to get back the levers of power to change. That is not even a representative government, what's happening in the Senate right now. So, Malcolm Nance, need you on that wall, love you on that wall.
Yeah.
We're going to have to reactivate you for Sexy Liberal this year. Stay tuned.
Oh, yeah. I'll do Sexy Liberal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, baby. All right. Love you, Malcolm. See you next week.
Okay. Hey, by the way, one last thing.
Yes.
Tulsi, Sue, and Hillary discuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just
That's from
Captain Buzzkill. Don't leave us.
That is totally from the Russian playbook, as you said on Twitter.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tulsi. Yeah. Okay, Tulski. We see you. All right. Love you, Malcolm. See ya.